Welcome back, friends, to the Technovits channel. This is second part of Active Directory FSMO roles. In the first part, we discussed about the introduction, what FSMO roles are, and how you can actually check. So this was my last video that I published. Good to see that people are watching it. Like 31, I got 31 views in 24 hours. So for a technical video, this is actually a good count. It is not an entertainment video where people will pitch in and watch it more. So I'm very positive about it. So the subscribers we have got is like 305. So I suggest for more like to keep yourself updated. Whenever we post a video, you get a notification. So we suggest you subscribe it. Let us start with the video today. So if you watch my previous video, which is on Active Directory FSMO roles and introductions, I have introduced you what the FSMO roles are. In this video, we will discuss about the Schema Master FSMO role. So as we know, there are two categories of FSMO role, which is flexible single master operation. One is forest level FSMO role, and which contain two FSMO roles like domain naming master and schema master. And then we have domain level FSMO roles, which are in infrastructure master, PDC emulator, and RID master. So this video is on a schema master. Next videos will discuss all these FSMO roles in detail. So let us first see what a schema master FSMO role is. So in this topic, we will take an overview of Schema Master FSMO role, checking and accessing the schema on Schema Master, PowerShell Commands to manage Schema Master. Then we would be checking a schema using ADSI edit tool. Then we will look into classes in the schema, and then we will look attributes in the schema. Viewing classes and attributes in schema, like these two classes in the schema and attributes in the schema would be the introduction of what classes are and what attributes are. Then how we can view and check these classes and attributes. Creating classes and creating attributes is again a high level topic. It would need a complete video because there are too many steps that we need to do, too many consideration while creating classes and attributes. However, in this video, we will just go through, look at what the Schema Master role does and how it works. In next video, I'll come up with how do you create classes and attributes. All right. So let us see the overview of Schema Master FSMO role. So what is a Schema Master FSMO role? The Schema Master is one of the 5 flexible single master operations role in Active Directory. It plays a vital role in managing and maintaining the schema, which defines the structure and rules for how data is stored in the directory. So this schema creates kind of a structure how the data will be stored, and in fact you can understand it is kind of a format using which the data can be stored. Like there are classes, there are definition of the classes, there are templates, and each classes will have a set of attributes. Suppose a user account is there, so there is a username, user principal name, given name, first name. All these attributes come with user class, so that whenever you create a user account, there are mandatory attributes and there are non-mandatory attributes you can use. But the set of attributes that you use for a user account will always remain same. Let us compare the Active Directory schema to a school general. Like we take an example from everyday life, which is a school environment. So we'll compare the Active Directory schema to a school environment, and that will make it easier for me to explain and you to understand how the Active Directory schema works. So we can consider the schema as a school rule book. So when a school operates, so schema as school rule book, right? So we can consider schema as a school rule book, which defines how things will be managed in a school environment. It is kind of policy document for the school. It defines all the types of so what it school rule book will do in schema context, it defines all the types of people, their roles, the items or objects in the school, as well as their characteristics, which is the attribute, and how they are related to each other. So a school is the complete set, and there would be teachers, there would be students, there would be different rooms, playground area, and how these will be interacting with each other and how are they related to each other. So in a school rule book, the rule book might specify who can be a student, who can be a teacher, who can be a staff member, and what detail characteristics are associated with each role. So suppose we take into account like what it can do is it can have a student, it can have a teacher, it can have a staff member. To define, there would be some set of rules how you can oh, wrong. Okay, so how you can like categorize these, there would be a kind of rule to maybe identify. So if we compare like what is the rule in the rule book, it tells you how to identify different stuff. Similarly, in Active Directory, the schema defines the classes. So if I compare it with the Active Directory, there would be users, groups, uh, computers. So there would be a rule, like in a school environment, there would be a rule to define, like distinguish between student, teacher, and staff member. So in Active Directory, there would be a rule, or this schema is contains a set of rule that identifies who are the users, who are the groups, who are the what are the computer accounts, and what they can do. Classes as let us understand classes as roles in the school. So in classes, these would be, suppose we call these what roles that different people will play in a school. Roles played by different people. So someone will be a student, someone will be a teacher, someone will be a staff member. And in Active Directory, these are the classes define different types of objects, much like roles in a school, and define different types of people or resources. Classes in AD define what type of object can exist and their general structure. So if we take into like account like school environment again, so first there would be like Suppose there is a student class that we take. So what student class will do is it will uh, represent all students in the school, right? So and how it will represent all the students in the school. uh, so it will have like first name, maybe last name, student ID, grade, and enrollment, maybe date. We can take enrollment date. Similarly, the teachers, like the teachers who are here, they will also have, suppose teachers, I take it like this, so they will have uh, attributes like they will also have first name. All the teachers will have first name, last name. um, so in place of a student ID they will have a teacher ID, and subject they teach, maybe subject dot, and higher date when, because students will enroll and teachers will be hired. So I'll take like higher date here. So these are like teacher ID, higher date. They will be like distinguish between student and the teacher class. Now there would be staff member, or we can add kind of another role which is school admin staff. Suppose I add it here. So school admin staff will again have different attributes. Maybe uh, they will also have first name, last name, role, and they will have office number maybe, and start date, right? So you can see every class, student is a class, teacher is a class, admin staff is a class, and how they are distinguished, how they are differentiated, it is based on their attributes that they hold, right? So where is it defined? it, this will be defined in a rule book, right? Student, like school rule book will be there, where it will be defined like if there is a student, there is a teacher, there is staff member, admin staff. So they will hold this kind of values. These this data will be used to distinguish, right? Similarly, in Active Directory you have like users class, groups class, and computer class. Later we will see the organizational unit and all. Attributes are see. So first, what we see here for all these classes, first name, last name is the same. So they share a common attribute. But for a student, there is another attribute called student ID. For teachers, it is teacher ID. For admin staff, it is an office number. Similarly, for users, groups, and computers, all of them in Active Directory will have a kind of common attributes, which is display name, right? However, when you want to distinguish the users, groups, and computers, there are different attributes which can be used to differentiate. Suppose for groups, you will have an attribute called members. So a group will have an attribute members, which will list all the members in the group. Computers will have the attributes related to them. It would be mm, it would be kind of host name, MAC address. So these attributes will be specific for computer accounts. Now, in a if we are comparing it to a school environment, so who will be the schema master, or who will be in AD? It would be the schema master, which will define all these rules, right? Similarly, in school environment, it would be the headmaster, or you can say the school principal will define what a student can hold, what a teacher can hold, what a staff member can hold. So, uh, suppose the headmaster decides that a student class or a teacher class will be using some new attribute. So let us make it like some new attribute it would be used. So the headmaster or principal cannot just uh, like create an attribute and then everybody will follow. S- So everybody should be aware of what this new attribute is coming, right? So what the principal will do, it will create an attribute and it will pass into the rule book, right? So there would be a rule book where the new rule will be published. Now this rule book will be distributed so that everybody is aware of it, right? And similarly, like there is a schema master in Active Directory, schema master. So anything that is defined, so any new class or attribute if defined in schema needs to be replicated replicated to to all members in the domain. This is how uh, we compare like school environment with Active Directory environment. So this is how it will work, and we will look into more detail when we move ahead. So let me go back to my slides. So this schema master is a forest wide role, meaning there is only one schema master per Active Directory forest, regardless of how many domains are present. In a forest, there would be multiple domains, but you like it makes sure there is only one schema master. Otherwise, will be a conflict in setting up the schema. The schema defines all the object classes like users, computers, and groups, and attributes such as names, passwords, email addresses that can be created in the Active Directory. It ensures that every object in Active Directory conforms to a standard structure. So in our school environment, we saw to have a uniform structure, there would be a rule book which will be published by the headmaster, which in a school environment acts as a schema master. So it will publish a rule book. Once published, everybody is aware, then they will start following that rule. Similarly, in schema master will apply these attributes to all the domains. Once these attributes are applied to the classes and attributes are uh, passed on to all domains, then all the domain controllers will understand when we are creating a user, there would be some attributes which we can populate. So we will look into it as well. Uh, and The Schema Master role ensures that schema changes, such as adding new attributes or modifying existing object classes, are handled centrally. Only the domain controller holding the Schema Master role can make changes to the schema, right? So this is obvious. There will be one Schema Master, and the domain controller, which holds this FSMO role, the Schema Master role, can only make changes to the schema. Moving forward, we see like check and access the Schema Master FSMO role. Like how do you check in your domain which domain controller is holding the Schema Master role, and we will see how do we register the Active Directory schema snap-in, and we will open the Active Directory schema snap-in and we will look into it. All right. So to do it, I will fire up my virtual machine, which is a Windows Server 2022 on Windows Server 2016. Let us see. All right, I have already tested it. Okay, we'll start from the beginning. So we will go back to our slide. So in my last video as well, I suggested some PowerShell commands. So I'll do like I'll start with PowerShell ISE. I will run as administrator. Okay. Now this was my last video. So here, now I will write registering schema snap-in. Before I do that, I need to command to check the domain controller holding schema master role, right? So the command, as we see, is get AD forest. This is because it is a forest level schema role. Get AD forest, select object schema master. So it will give me specific to schema master role. So no. So all right, get AD forest, select object schema master. So if I run this command, it loads. So this is the domain controller which is holding the schema master role. Now, if we need to look into the schema, you have to register the schema management DLL. So it says you can do it through we can do it through PowerShell or we can do it through command prompt, both ways. So regsvr32 schema management.dll. If you run it, it says succeeded. Okay. Let us see if we can do it through command prompt. So I'll do open run as administrator and put this command regsvr32.dll and you'll get the error. Sorry, the prompt which says schema management DLL succeeded. Now you have to open MMC, right? You This is MMC stands for Microsoft Management Console. You go to File, go to Add Remove Snap In, and you select Active Directory Schema. Click on Add and click on OK. Now the schema snap in is added. So you check, you see this is the schema master, and there are two subdivisions, classes and attributes. So you can actually create classes and attributes. So first we will look at the classes. Some of the classes we will be able to identify very easily, Let me see what we can identify very easily. One is account, built-in domain. There is a computer class. There is a contact class, container class, domain. Suppose we are looking for a user class. This is a server class. So user is like in the end, this is the user class. So with like these kind of objects you can actually create inside your Active Directory. So mainly here we see like user class. Generally we create groups we create groups and we create kind of let me see GHIJKLMNO. You go to O, organizational unit we create, right? So these are the classes. Actually, when you suppose you open dsa.msc, I open my Active Directory. So if you go and right click here on the domain and you click new, so you see computer, you can create contacts, group, inet org, person, user, shared organizational unit you can create, printer you can create, user and shared folder you can create. So let us see these classes are present. LMNOPQRS. So storage there. And again, like you can create new user, cancel, new user, right? So first name, last name, full name, user logon name, and pre-Windows 2000. These are mandatory attributes to move forward. Initials is not mandatory, but first name and user login name and this field, pre-Windows 2000, which is SAM account name, is mandatory to proceed. Password is mandatory to proceed. So when we create a user account, we'll see what attributes are mandatory, what attributes are optional, and I'll show you more into it. And so basically, this was how do we access the schema, and like in this basically we got to know how do we work, take a look at the schema. Now we will see about PowerShell commands to manage Schema Master. So we'll learn about some PowerShell uh, code to manage schema. Now I will load my virtual machine. Okay, so we looked at the class and attributes. So I open PowerShell. Okay, I'll open it right from the beginning. PowerShell. So I work mostly with PowerShell ISE because in PowerShell ISE this is the code screen and this is the output screen. So you can actually write the code and check the output as well. The first command, like all these commands, get AD forest, select object, schema master, is to, we have already run this command and we know it will return the schema master machine name, the device. It will point towards the device which holds the schema master role. Then we have another command, transfer the Schema Master role to another domain controller. Seize the Schema Master role. Alright, view FSMO role holder with detail information. We will try and run this command. Net query. So netdom query FSMO role, FSMO command will list all the FSMO roles available in your domain. Managing and seizing, moving, transferring and seizing the FSMO role. I'll discuss it. These two commands I'll show you. Now check the health of the schema master. This is the health, like the command. Get AD domain controller identity, get AD forest schema master. So let us run this command. So it gives you the complete information. What is the computer object distinguished name? Maybe let me minimize. Computer object DN default partition is dcbycus.com. Domain enabled true. Forest. This is the name of the forest. So you see, like we have only one domain controller, so the domain will be the first forest will be the first domain as well. Now host name. This is the host name of the machine. Invocation ID. So you have got all operating system Windows Server 2016. Operating system version. Now operation masters, schema master, domain naming master, PDC emulator, red master, because this is only one DC, so it is holding all the operation master roles. Partitions. Now these partitions are domain partition, forest DNS zone, domain DNS zone, server object is distinguished name is this. Machine name, it is a server, default first site, sites configuration, DC is equal to bycus, DC is equal to .com, server object GUID, site, it is default first site, SSL port 636. 636 is the LDAP port, the secure port to access LDAP. We'll also discuss in some video. Uh, Now see, verify the schema partition. So we'll run this command rep admin show replication get AD forest schema master. Let us run this command. Site option none, DSA object GUID, invocation ID. So it give you some information from the last command as well. Force replication of Schema Master. So when you make changes into schema, right, you create a class, you create a new attribute. In that case, you have to run a replication from the schema master so that it is replicated to all the partitions. So this is the PowerShell command, syncing partition with no errors. So these are the schema partition where it will go ahead and do the replication. So rep admin sync all get ready for this is the command syncing DC forest zones. DC is equal to domain zones. Uh, Schema configuration, CN configuration, and then the domain syncing partition. So it will. These are all the partitions which we got in in our last command as well. If we look, this default. This is the default partition. This is the list of all the partitions. So in all the partitions in everywhere, what it will do is it will replicate your changes that you have made to schema. If you have added a new class, the new class will be published to all the partitions, or if you have created attributes for a class, it will get replicated. You can also check the replication status. So it is rep admin summary, zero error, zero error. So this is how you can check. Here we have used the operators like APED. Now what are these APED operators? So A is for all partitions, P is equal to push replication to partitions, E is equal to enterprise cross-site replication, and display replication status. So hyphen D is showing you the summary how the like if you are running this command. Let me run it again. So you can run it with simply with A, which is like replicating it in for all the partitions. If we run it as P, so it is P is for, if you see, P is for push replication to partitions. Uh, Enterprise cross-site replication, and D is equal to, if you put like in the same command, if you put like slash D or PD, then it will give you the replication status as well. So this is how you, these are the commands to health check and replicate your schema across the domain and partitions. Now we will check in this step we'll check the checking schema using ADSI edit tool. So far we checked it with the PowerShell. Now and MMC snap-in. So let us see how do we access ADSI edit and check the schema in ADSI edit tool. To access ADSI edit tool, you have to go to search, type the command ADSI edit.msc. It opens there, right click, run as administrator, or you can simply run it. And in ADS, I edit, right click and connect to, and leave it as it is. And select a well-known naming context is schema. So you select schema from there and click on OK. If you double click on it, you will be able to see the schema. So this is the schema partition. Cn is equal to schema like primary partition here. Here you can find. Now if you see here, Cn, like Cn is equal to, so here you can see Cn equal to account. So this is the account class, and suppose Cn is equal to user. If we try to find, see, suppose Cn is equal to user is there, and you can see attributes, different attributes are there. So a user, from here you can actually see a user will have attributes. These are the attributes like display name. So if you suppose if you want to change some attribute for the user account, uh, distinguished name, so you cannot change these because these are mandatory and these are already configured by your Active Directory. So these cannot be changed. Governs ID, this is the object ID that you get. So if you get 1.2.840.113556.1.5.9, this is the object ID which is provided by Microsoft. And you cannot just go ahead and get a global object ID. It is all governed. So you have to register to the OID site when you create attribute and classes. Then you need to get uh, the OIDs and all. So because this is another topic, a big topic, and before we go into creating attributes and classes, which is not generally needed in the organization setup as well. So it is very rare scenario when you use classes and create classes and attributes. So we discussed already about classes in this schema. I'll keep it short. These are the most common classes: user group, computer organizational unit, abstract classes. These classes cannot be instantiated. They serve as a template for other classes, for example, top and containers. So abstract classes are just, they act like a template. Using these, you can create a class or how a class is defined. So you cannot, of an abstract class, you cannot create a different instance for them. Structural classes are, these can be instantiated to create actual object in Active Directory. So structured classes, you can create instances. So now what class attributes are? Each class that have several attributes that define its properties. For example, the user class has attributes like first name, last name, email, and telephone number. So these are the class attributes. What are attributes? Attributes are Two types of attributes are there. So attributes are the properties associated with the class. Each attribute has a specific data type and characteristic, such as whether it is mandatory, single valued, or multi-valued. Single valued and multi-valued, you will see, like single valued will hold only one value. Like user principal name is one of the attribute which is unique. Multi-value is kind of member of. If you see member of attribute, it can contain multiple groups. It is a multi-valued attribute. Class attributes. Each each class has several attributes that define its properties. So this is all we have discussed. Attribute characteristics. What are the characteristics? LDAP display name, which is actually the user-friendly display name or display name that would be available for this attribute. Data type, what kind of data, string, integer, boolean, what kind of data this attribute will hold. Attribute syntax, define the structure of the attribute. Is single valued, like it can be true or false, whether if it can contain one value or multiple values. Now class user attributes, SAM account name, user principal name, given name. So if you take the user class, these are the attributes associated with the user class. If you take a group class, these are the attributes like SAM account name, member, description, group type. If you take a computer class, you'll see attributes, operating system version. So this is all about attributes and classes. And viewing classes and attributes in schema. Active Directory snap-in. We can see PowerShell command, using snap-in, and we can see all the PowerShell through all the PowerShell commands. So I showed you how to check the attributes and classes using the schema snap-in. So we go into MMC, we add the schema snap-in. Sorry, we add the schema snap-in, and there. So if you see, this is the MMC I have saved. Here you can see classes, and here you can see attributes. The other way to see all the classes and all the attributes is the PowerShell code. So let me see if I can run it. So this PowerShell code. So if you paste it, see get AD object search by CN your domain. You need to change this domain name here, and let us run. So you can see these are all in schema. These are all the classes that are present in your schema, and object classes are equal to, if I change it here, uh, attribute schema. So, right. And why? Okay, first of all, why you would use the schema? The Active Directory is managing it. So let me write it. So I think two topics I would need to explain more for you. Uh, okay, so first, all right, transferring the schema role to another domain controller. So the PowerShell command would be to do this. So if we come here, where was it? Uh, Move AD directory schema operation master role identity target DC name operation master role schema master. So okay, I copied it and there pasted it. I'll show you this I need to show and seize. What is the difference between move and seize? There is no much difference. There is no much difference or there is too much difference. Now this movement of the moving the when you moving the active directory schema role, when do you move, there is a requirement when you like upgrade or migrate the OS, migrate the AD from old OS to new OS. Now suppose this is suppose you have a kind of 2016 server and then you need to upgrade it to 2019 server. So then you need to move the schema role. Okay, that in some practical I'll show you this. This is an overview of a schema master role. Move, and when do you cease? When do you cease the schema master role? If there is a problem, if the schema master is not available, if you are getting error with the schema master, in that case you can run it with the force command and to move the schema master. Target DC name, yeah, so this would be AD server of master role identity. This here you need to put target DC name, which is the new domain controller. Okay, let me see what I can do here is, so I have Windows Server 2016 and Windows Server 2019. All right, so let me log into Windows Server 2019. It is in test domain and okay, it is in test domain and this is again in the same domain. It would be server 2022. No, so because I need to deploy some kind of server in one of the environment and domain join, I will be able to show it to you. So yeah, so these are the commands and I need to show it to you. I'll make a note of it and we'll come up with more videos here. All right, next video, uh, creation of classes and attributes in AD schema master. This was my plan. However, like this takes a lot of, like, not a lot of time, I would say, but this is a critical action, right? There you need to register the OIDs and you have to go to Microsoft site. So I have the VBS script. You need to run a VBS script. Any improper update or improper creation of attributes and classes can take down your Active Directory as well. This is not recommended in everyday action that you go ahead and create class and attribute. When you need to create a class and attribute, you need to be very sure about it. Now, suppose if you, okay, so if you install Exchange server, it automatically it automatically gives you 15 extension attributes to be used. Right now, suppose what is the set of suppose a user account has set of attributes. Why you will use this in first place? Suppose a user account has a set of attributes, and there is something called you want to introduce for users. You need to introduce like marital status and maybe have kids. So it is actually it might be a requirement in your organization where you need to create two attributes. Now you need to accommodate these two attributes. Either you go to your schema and create these two attributes, or you can use if you have like installed Exchange server on your environment, you can use these extension attributes to accommodate these two settings. So we'll see. Parash. Okay, so if I show you here in this, and I have this user account, if I go to properties and attribute editor, so you see these are extension attributes, 15 extension attributes, because I implemented an Exchange server on this domain setup. So I have kind of 15 extension attributes. So if you see here on this, so actually if I go to users and right click and go to properties and attribute editor, sorry. So here you will not find the extension attributes. These are cloud extension attributes. So generally organizations as well, they do not take it like it is an easy task, like they do not want to create more attributes, or because they need to generate the OIDs. They need to either register with Microsoft or some OID website, and then they need to generate the OID, and based on that OID and any problem occurring with these attributes can cause your Active Directory to be non-functional. So yeah, definitely we will work on critical action. However, like when you install Exchange server, you will get extension attributes that you can use. Now, like the job remaining is how to create classes and attributes in schema. Right. All right, this was the basic introduction again for a Schema Master FSMO Role. Thank you for watching. Do like and subscribe. Maybe you don't like my videos or like my videos, so how do I know whether you like it or not? So I'll suggest you to give a like, or maybe if you don't like, you can give a dislike. That is okay. You can share and you can comment. If you find there is any problem with this video, you can comment. Or if you think it really helped you, it in some cases, if it helped you, put a comment. All right, and that was it from my end. Thank you and have a nice day.